Okay, I got my coffee and I just want to get into this story time about my experiences with online friendships and why I feel like people misunderstand what a real friendship means. So I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. I don't want to get into a whole like 30-minute video about it, but I'll try to keep it down to about 20 minutes. I think that'll be okay. Anyway, I took some time to calm down before I get into it because some things about it just kind of get on my nerves. And it's like I don't want to come off as mean or, too negative. Because there's so much going on in the world right now. And the last thing I want to do is be really, negative about something that's not, a big deal. Because I feel like when people make videos, they make them in the spur of the moment, and I don't want to, be one of those people. Because I feel that you should think about it for a while before you make a video about it. You should calm down. And I don't really have a problem with people making money off of like those drama channels and those commentary channels. I think it's a lot of work gets put into it, and that's great. I won't shame people for making money. The problem I have with those is a lot of like misinformation gets spread, and it's just a really toxic environment. And I want to get into the art community. I've been wanting to for years, and then just all this happened, pandemic, and just all of this happened. But anyway, last year was a really rough year, and I found out a lot of stuff that I didn't even know about that's been going on for years in my friendship circle on Twitter. And I'm in like 2 different fandoms that I'm very active in, the furry community and the M+C community. It's these BL games that I've been into on and off for 10 years now. It's been a while. So I'll start with the furry community first. So couple of years back, I was going through some really hard times. So to help me, deal with it, I drew a lot. I drew and painted a lot of artwork to help with my mental health. And my therapist, they recommended me to you should draw to help you express your emotions and to help you vent your it's better to just express yourself than keep it in. So that's why sometimes I'll draw a vent here and there, I'll post a painting. And I think that's okay, to sometimes post your vents. But I think the problem with why a lot of drama on the art community is happening is because I think oversharing is a bad thing. I think it's not a good thing to share too much information. If you're this is really serious stuff I'm about to talk about. If you're suicidal or anything like that, I feel like you shouldn't tell your whole audience that. I don't think that's a good idea to tell the whole world, especially if you have really young people following you that look up to you. I don't think it's a good idea to share so much and then share that I want to die and all this other stuff, and then just leave like nothing happened. I feel like that's a bad thing. I don't think that's okay to do that, because it just makes people think, oh, something happened to you, when you're just fine, like nothing happened. And that's like why this whole, I wasn't even going to say who it is, but this whole Hopeless Peaches drama happened because I feel like she overshares too much. Like, she shares too many things, and I saw that happen, and I was just like, I think you just shouldn't do that. But anyway, that's kind of, seeing that drama happen, that reminds me of like how I feel like any community can have, you know, toxicity and drama in it, but I wanted to get back to like what I was talking about. So yeah, like getting back to it, I used my artwork as a way to express myself as therapy, and I drew a lot of furry art. It was my OCs, and what else did I draw? A lot of elemental stuff, cat people. It's like my favorite, even now, that's like one of my favorite things to draw. I have a soft spot for it. So I posted a lot of, at the time I posted a lot of my furry OCs, and they're mostly like cats, mice, and I'm trying to think what else. I think foxes. That's about it. But I just shared a couple of my, well, more than a couple, it was quite a bit, probably like maybe like 50 or so drawings. It was quite a bit. And I guess some people found me, like people I thought were good people found my art, and they seemed really nice at first. I'll call this person, think, because I don't want, you know, when you mention someone, they'll go out of it. I only said Hopeless Peaches. I only said her name to just let people know I'm aware of the drama that's going on, and I don't keep my head in the sand, but I also think that it's overblown, like blown out of proportion. I feel like a lot of that drama that's going on in our community right now, they should have just talked about it in DMs. I feel like it wasn't the best idea to make a video about this person and just like dogpile on them. I just don't get a good vibe from those channels, and I never want to be like one of those channels. It's just very negative. I mean, yeah, you're making money, that's good, you know, I'm all for that. It's just the way people handle that, it's just really bad. Anyway, so I met this artist, and I'll call him Plus. And it started off really good. We drew in Drawpile, and it's this art program you get to draw in with other artists. It's like a collaboration. It's kind of like Sketcher, where you draw with people, except there's like no time limit. So I drew with him a couple of times, but he seemed really nice. Here's the thing, like, we weren't really that close. I never really knew much about them other than they had depression and they used their art to, you know, find friends, because I guess they felt lonely like I did, and I understand that. But I never seen what they look like. They seen what I looked like. And, you know, there's a time where I actually showed a photo of myself because I wanted to know, I wanted to be open, and I wanted to know, like, who I was talking to. But he wouldn't. And sometimes I wonder if he's actually a guy, because his sauna is often, I mean, not saying that if you're a guy, you shouldn't draw a bunch of girls, or if you're a girl, you shouldn't draw a bunch of guys. It's like, I draw mostly men most of the time. But anyway, I just thought that was, I don't know, kind of weird how they were. I guess they felt like we were really good friends or something, and at the time I felt that way. but there was just so much I didn't know about them, you know? And we, you know, we had good times here and there, but sometimes it seemed like they had like an attitude. Like I remember talking to them once on, I think it was Discord. I think it was Discord. And I remember they made a server, which I joined for a while, but I was really overwhelmed. I had a lot of anxiety and stuff because like the people that they kept around themselves were just, I don't think they were like their friends were necessarily bad people, but like it was just too much. Like there was like a lot of people who were like overbearing, like they'll comment on stuff and not really like be compassionate about boundaries and stuff. They're like, oh, if you post this on social media, people have a right to criticize it or whatever. I'm like, well, yeah, that's true, but you should also be respectful with people's boundaries. If people say like no thanks, you don't need to make a big deal out of it. Instead of making a big deal out of it, you should just leave them alone and, you know, give your advice to someone who needs it. I don't know why that's so hard for some people to understand. It seems like it's usually people that don't really do art that has the most problem with that, which doesn't really make any sense to me. And I think it's just because they don't understand the hard work that goes into it. And I just didn't want to be around people who are like this, so I just distanced myself from the server. And also, I was really sick at the time. This happened in 2018, so I was 2 years with two friends with Plus for 2 years now. That makes it 2 years. So 2016 is when I started, and I thought that, you know, they were my really just a good friend of mine. I thought they would understand. Like I was really sick to the point where I actually could have died because I couldn't get any water in my system or anything. I had to be in the hospital like a whole day, and I had to go back home, and I had to take like 3 different medicine. I had they didn't really know what I had. They said it could have been like a really bad stomach bug or a ulcer, and I'm just like, I literally could have died that year. And all he cared about was this dumb server. Like, oh, you left my server, you didn't like me. And I'm just like, that doesn't make no sense at all. And the only reason why I even found out this information is because one of my other friends, I'll call him Minus, he told me about it. And I'm just like, what the heck? Plus never told me about any of this stuff. Oh my god, that is terrible. So I'm just sick of the whole Discord server issues. It's called Discord, and ironically it's like can be really stressful. Like you think, you know, of a place you should be able to be yourself. You would think that you should be able to talk about things, but apparently you can't really talk about it. It's just really isolating me around people who are like this. So I'm not friends with them anymore. I just did not get a good vibe, and I just distanced myself last year because of all that was going on. I was going through a really tough time, so I distanced myself from them. And oh my god, I just can't believe they were like that. It does feel good to vent about it a little bit and get it in video format, because I feel like this is something people should be aware of. You just need to be careful who you interact with, because man, And you know, the reason why I thought they were such nice people is because he really helped me in a really hard time. So I just felt like, oh yeah, you know, it's a good friend of mine because he gave me some money to help me with my computer died in 2016. It was a really hard time, so I thought like, oh hey, no, he's a really nice guy. I can't believe he would do that for me, because you know, I was going through a really tough time. I was very vulnerable, and I feel like I was also naive because I just don't really know. You know, you don't really know these people, and I feel like it's dangerous to be so open to people you barely even know. And I was diagnosed with PTSD that year, and just, you know, some traumatic experiences that I just don't want to go into right now. The video is also getting too long, but it was just a really hard time, you know. And seeing someone be kind to me, I just always thought like, oh yeah, they care about me and all that. I'm like, no, 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 no. They cared, you know. They would have told me like, hey, this bothers me, you know, this bothers me that you left my server. And I tried to tell them like, you know, it's not, I did tell them like, hey, it's not a big deal or anything. It's just I left because I couldn't manage that. And speaking of which, like recently, like a few months ago, with Minus, he was acting really crazy in one of my servers that I made. It was my very first Discord server. I wanted to make a safe space for people to talk about things, just with mental health, since there's this stigma with social media. So I wanted to be a safer, like a open, like sort of like a cafe or like a bar or something like that, where people could just talk. But oh my god, this porn bot just came into my server and just started spamming it. And he was just like, oh my god, Azure, Azure, Azure. I'm just like, what? It's like, do you know how to fix this? Like, you should know how to. I'm like, I did not know how to, you know. And people are like, oh, it's only a few buttons. And here's the thing, I'm still learning. And I'm also very busy, so I was like, I can't manage this. And I ended up deleting the server because it stressed me out so badly. I can't believe someone would do that, but I noticed that would happen to me like around, it happened even the year before that, that also happened in my DMs. So I was just like, somebody stalking me or something. And you know, I'm a person of color, and we deal with a lot. We've been violated so much. So it's just like, I'm very sensitive about things, about certain things, especially that stuff. And they just didn't understand that, you know, how racist people can be and stuff. And they're like, oh no, it's not about racism. And that just, I was just done. After just so much I went through, that year was just too much. I just had to distance myself from all this toxicity. I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I'm out of here. It's just too toxic. And fast forward to April 2020, and this is when this isn't even that bad. It's just a misunderstanding. And this is why I want to get into why I feel like people forget what real relationships, real friendships are. And with social media, I feel like more so can be even more misconstrued than it already is. A friend, this is what a friend means. They're a good listener. You could tell them anything. They won't make you feel isolated, and you know, and if they do, either because of miscommunication or you shouldn't be around them. You know, it just depends on the situation and what type of people you're dealing with. And anyway, around April, like when it was like really early, when the pandemic first started, like a few months after it started, I felt, I felt really isolated. And I saw this post by I was trying to think of the artist's name, Robato. He's a really good pinup artist, black artist, draws a lot of really good pretty girls. And I couldn't relate to like a lot of his posts and like how he's misunderstood. And funny enough, I ended up being misunderstood, writing a latest retweet to his posts. I'm like, oh my god. And I just find it weird how people misunderstood. He just basically said, oh, I understand that I'm muted, and I'm fine with that. We don't really vibe anymore. And I wrote, I felt I could relate to him, and I just wrote a latest retweet to it. And a couple of my friends, they misunderstood, and which I found really, really weird, because, okay, I can understand we've been talking for about a year, messages, DMs, we've been talking for a while. Some of them, I've been talking to some people more than others, but, we never had a call before, we never met. I don't know what majority of these people look like. See, that's another problem I talked about earlier. I'm sorry to say, but I don't know any of these people, really. I don't really know them. I think they're good people, and they seem really nice, but I don't really know them, enough for them to take that so personally. Basically, when I said, that we don't vibe anymore, what I was talking about was Plus and some other people I used to be friends with that I was no longer friends with at the time. We drifted apart. We stopped talking before quarantine due to really petty things. It's really toxicity that happens. I see it happens a lot in the art community, and I saw that happening with Hopeless Peaches. So I wanted to talk about it, because I'm just like, that's really crazy how common that is and how that happens. I think it's just often due to misunderstanding. People misunderstood, and it seems like oftentimes they don't want to admit that they misunderstood. People are telling you that's not the case. You don't listen, and this is why we have these issues in the art community. It saddens me, because I want to make friends, but I also don't want to deal with all this drama all the time and just this toxicity. I really don't want to deal with it. So this year, this is my year, one of my New Year's resolutions, is to not just be more aware of like who I'm hanging around with, because oh my goodness, that is crazy. Like, how could you make assumptions like that and you barely even talk to the person, and it's just a misunderstanding? I guess they think like, oh, we're close, and no. And they also told me like, oh, it's nothing personal or anything. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying we don't vibe anymore. I'm fine with that. And that's what I don't like about social media. It's really easy, especially on Twitter, and especially if you don't make a video, and you can't make a video every tweet you make. So just the way that sometimes it's just best to write a short tweet or with text about stuff, and that's the thing I just didn't like about that. And so, I just want to focus on my artwork right now and myself. Over time, I'll, make better friendships and maybe rekindle some old ones. Who knows? I just don't want to be around that anymore. That's like, I cannot grow. You can't grow in an environment like that. It's too much toxicity. It's just way too much. When you're on the internet, you want to have fun, and you don't want it to be a place of stress, and that's too stressful. But yeah, I feel a lot better getting this out, but it's getting a little too long, so I'll make another video about some issues. later, but I just hope y'all enjoyed my little rant there. And I really hope this year will be better. Anyways, y'all want to see more, subscribe. I would, they'll appreciate that, because so I can know, like, y'all interested in my videos. Just feel free to like it or not. It's up to you. That being said, hope y'all have a good day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.